Hey beauties, it's Riri. If you're new here, I'm an over 40 lover of all things beauty, and I'm pretty obsessed with indie brands. Today is my top 5 spring palettes. Alright beauties, before we dive in, please don't forget to thumbs up the video if you like what you see, and subscribe down below if you have not yet. There's also a little join button right down there that you can click to become a channel member. Thank you to my channel members. Alright beauties, we're gonna dive right in. I have my 5 palettes picked out. This is a collab with my beautiful friend and fellow creator Heather. Of course, her beautiful face will be right here, and she is linked down below. Y'all know what I say. If you go watch her and you feel in a vibe, you feel a connection, you can relate to her, subscribe. It is absolutely free for you and it means the world to us. If you're coming from Heather's channel, hey beautiful, welcome to my beauty family. I'm going to kind of scoot over just a touch while I'm talking and kind of getting started, and I will post a little sped up tutorial of this eye look. I did go in with 2 of the palettes that I will be talking about today, and I also have an honorable mention. Heather, don't get mad at me, girl. I just couldn't help it. Please make sure you go check out Heather. I'm really excited. I think I probably know one of her palettes because she recently used it, but I'm going to save my thoughts for later on that. First up for my top 5 is the Oden's Eye and Annette Giant Wolves palette. I'm obsessed with this palette. It's part of what is on my eyes today, as you would have seen. I've taken this traveling with me. I'm obsessed with it. First and foremost, I love the artwork. I love their formula. I like that this is small and it's compact. And to me, it screams spring, but grungy spring. It's a little bit more dark, has a little bit more richness in the palette, a little bit more depth, but it still has those beautiful pops of purples and blues and greens, which I associate spring with. Purples, blues, lilacs, lavenders, greens. Kind of just thinking along the lines of everything just kind of blooming and coming back to life. So the greens, blues, pinks, peaches, purples, just like the look that I have on today. I think this is a stunning palette. It's a beautiful formula. The shade right here that I do have on my eyes, Eternal. Eternal is absolutely stunning, and it looks different with whatever you put underneath it. I'm obsessed with this palette. If you have not tried Oden's Eye formula, highly recommend. So this is one of my choices for my top 5. Next up, probably not a surprise at all, and probably my top green palette of all time, is the Glamlite Dirty Martini palette. I am obsessed with this palette. First of all, I love greens, as we all know, and I love the fact that there's so many different variations of green, and again, that it has a lot of depth in it as well. And the metallics in here are just to die for. They're absolutely stunning. One of my favorite formulas ever. I just love it. I know that this can also kind of lean a little bit more grungy. That's just my vibe. But again, the beautiful greens, the beautiful blues, I think it's very spring-like. Beautiful formula. The mattes blend out beautifully. The shimmers are, beautiful, high shine, very full. I'm slightly obsessed with this palette. I know that it's not super pastel-y, pinky and purple, but it's beautiful and I love it so much. Next up is another Oden's Eye palette. I cannot believe that they made 2 in this list, y'all. I mean, I do believe it because their formula is impeccable. This is the Hello palette from Oden's Eye. This one right here, I think honestly, if you had this palette and this palette alone, unless you were like super into like purples and more pastel shades, this has everything you need. It has yellows and greens and beautiful pinks, a beautiful kind of deep plummy purple. Again, the formula here is absolutely exquisite. One of my favorite brands. The blush that I have on today is from Oden's Eye. Yeah, I definitely, again, I know maybe my spring vibe is not your spring vibe, and I totally respect that. But for me, the yellows and the pinks and the greens and stuff like that, they have my heart. They have my heart. I feel like this screams spring to me. And again, it has the depth that I'm looking for in any palette that I aim for. You could also go very soft and very pastel as well, which I really love too. So this is number 3 on our top 5. Number 4 is one that you guys probably expected and more along the lines of what most people would say is a spring palette. It is the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. This palette to me is quintessential spring. It's all the beautiful soft kind of mauve tones, pink tones, purples. I'm obsessed. And Huda Beauty is one of my all-time favorite brands as well. I think that the mattes are beautiful. They blend out well. They don't get patchy or muddy. The metallic shades are beautiful. It's quite long wearing and long lasting on the lids. And I feel like if you honestly have any of these, or maybe even this one in combination with one of the Oden's eye palettes, I think you could create any type of look, any type of beautiful, soft, kind of more pastel type of look, build up richness and depth with one of these palettes. But I love this palette. It's honestly probably one of my favorites from Huda Beauty, and I have quite a few. The packaging is beautiful. I cannot say enough. It's absolutely stunning. And then last, but certainly not least, until we get to my little honorable mention, is, of course, the Gourmand Girls That Time of Year palette in collaboration with myself and Xenia and Debutante. I do have a discount code with Gourmand Girls. I will put it right here, but all of my discount codes are always down below. This is essentially a winter-themed palette. However, it is part of what I am wearing today. Because we did go with beautiful greens and pinks, some beautiful iridescent shades, some blues, I really do think that this would be absolutely perfect for springtime. You could go very soft and very subtle. You could go very soft and neutral. You could do the pops of green. You could do pink, the purples, the blues. The formula is great, and I love all the beautiful different iridescent toppers. Like, they all look different no matter what you layer, depending on what you layer them on. I love this palette. I'm so proud of this palette. Of course, this one looks absolutely trashed because I have used it and used it and used it. I think that it's beautiful. I think it's a year-round type of palette because of the color story in here. But again, you could definitely add some depth. You could go very natural, very neutral, or do pops of color for springtime. And then, last but not least, I know, short and sweet, y'all, this is going to get an honorable mention because I've only used it one time. However, if you've been sitting on the fence, wading in the water, not really wanting to dive in all the way, not really wanting to get your feet completely wet, get completely submerged, y'all know that I'm not a hype person. You know that most of what I try that everybody else hypes up, I do not like. However, the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Surge palette is fantastic. This is one of the best palettes that I've ever used, even basing it off of using it one time thus far. I did do a look with all of the purples. I think first and foremost, if you have this, you literally could do any type of look. It goes from very, very light pastel to very deep and grungy. You have your neons, you have all your metallic shades. Everything corresponds together, or you could mix and match if you wanted to. I feel like it's very beginner friendly as well. And you have your yellows and your pinks and your blues, your purples, your greens. I feel like this is kind of the combination of all of these together, and I'm here for it. I am here for it. Highly recommend. I sat on the fence for so long over this, and I told y'all it was on my wish list, and it was gifted to me by Jackie. Thank you, Jackie. She needs this palette in her life now. I am obsessed. Blends so beautifully. The mattes are incredibly pigmented, but very blendable. They don't get patchy or weird or muddy. It's a beautiful palette. I think that it's very beginner friendly, especially the way that it's laid out. You can also go very deep, bold, and grungy. You could go very soft and pastel-y for springtime. It's beautiful. So we're gonna recap very quickly. We have Blend Bunny Cosmetics Surge palette is our honorable mention, but I already know how much I love it. The Gourmand Girls Cosmetics That Time of Year palette. The Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. We have two palettes from Oden's Eye. We have the Giant Wolves and the Hella palette. I love both of them. And my Glamlite Dirty Martini palette. And most of these, as you know, are indie brands. I just have a love and an admiration for indie brands. They have my whole entire heart. Have you tried any of these palettes? Do you think I made good choices for springtime? What would you pick out of your collection for spring? And go watch Heather. Go check her out and see what her picks are too. Take a guess down below and comment what you think she may pick. I love you, beauties. Stay happy, healthy, and safe, and be your own best beautiful. Bye, beauties.